Hey guys, I'm Samcrac. This is my 2011 Corvette Grand Sport, and it has a minor problem. When I connect battery power to it, check this out. That's right. If you connect battery power to the car, the horn just blows continuously without stop. While my Corvette looks like an absolute disaster right now, this car is only a few hours away from being 100% complete. When I got the car, it was primarily just disassembled in the front end here, the front bumper off it, the fenders off of it, and it was missing the entire cooling system, which you can see has been completely replaced at this point. The only things really left to complete in this car is a coolant flush, an AC recharge, obviously put that intake back in place. That takes only a few minutes. We're going to put a repaired SRS module in down there, and we're going to install a brand new Android Auto Apple CarPlay radio because, well, the technology in these C6 Corvettes is quite antiquated. And that's pretty much it, with the exception of that blaring horn. Now, the horn started blaring when I had the final front end assembly done at a local body shop. I gave them the horn because it was missing when I got it from the salvage auction. I said, hey, would you mind just throwing this in the front end? It goes right behind the bumper so that I don't have to mess with it because you're going to put the front bumper on. They said no problem. They hooked it up and the horn started blaring. Now, the tech at the body shop asked me, did your front airbag deploy? And indeed, my front airbag did deploy. This airbag is actually a used replacement airbag. So he said, well, did you replace your clock spring? The clock spring is the electronic connector that's actually in here. It's behind the steering wheel. It's in the column area here, and it connects all the different electronics, including the airbag and these radio controls, to the car's electrical system. Now, I've definitely seen clock springs replaced on cars that are being rebuilt, but that's typically when the airbag connectors themselves melt to the airbag when the airbag deploys. In this case, there was no melted connectors, none of the wires were damaged, so I kept the factory clock spring that was in the car and just installed the airbag. The tech at the body shop insisted that I install a brand new clock spring in the car and that would fix the horn situation. So I paid about $200 for a brand new factory clock spring for this Corvette, installed it, and well, and as you can tell, that didn't really fix anything. Now, to understand more why I'm having this issue, I got underneath the front passenger side corner of the car. That is where the horn is located, and I looked at the wiring. So here are two brand new horns. I bought both of these from a GM parts distributor. One is high side, one is low side. On the bag, they are branded AC Delco horns, and the part numbers match the part for this car. Although when you get up close, you can see they're not actual manufactured by AC Delco. They are manufactured by that brand name, which I cannot pronounce. However, that's a very popular horn manufacturer. The bracket itself came from a C6 Corvette that was from my friend James's parts recycling facility. Probably noticed these wiring harnesses running everywhere, and the main wiring loom is actually located right here. And then these harnesses all branch off the loom. And every single harness has its place, like the headlights here. There's a fog light that is right here, and then it's on the outside of the car bumper right there. Our ambient air temperature sensor. The only harness that didn't have its place was this one right here with this red and this black wire. So we figured this had to go to the horn since it was the only one left. Now, one of the things I found most strange when I picked these horns up is that they just came with bare wires and no actual plug or clip to plug into, again, one of these wiring harnesses that's running in all sorts of other places. Where this red and black wire was, there was a harness to be plugged into. But for the sake of time, I just told the body shop, well, if they're just bare wires, just wire these two together and then wire them to this directly, connect them all, finish them off, and then we should be good to go. So at this point, I've disconnected the red and black wiring harness, which is the only wiring harness left that I can see that's not plugged into anything, and the horns are the only things that are disconnected. So I am puzzled, and I am convinced that they have to go together, but there's something wrong. So I called a mechanic friend of mine who pointed to the relays. He said that maybe you've got a relay, it was damaged, it's now stuck open, and that's why the horn keeps blowing. This right here is actually the relay for the horn. Before I went and spent money on parts with the horn disconnected, I connected the battery back in the Corvette. I came over and I pushed on the horn, which again I have fumbled with a little bit, so this horn is not stuck in place. That is not the problem. But listen to this. Do you see what happens when I press the horn in? the relay is clicking. Now, this is when I start to get a little bit crazy because things seem to be working as they should. When I hit the horn, the relay clicks, but then when I hook the horn up, it just blares. Now immediately when I know that that is the case, I know that there's something definitely wired wrong down there, but I'm still stuck because how do I know if there's no other wiring harnesses, where does this horn plug into? And that's when I like to stop, take a step back. I like to continue to diagnose the car, but away from the car. And there's one huge resource I've told you guys about a handful of times, but I wanted to specifically point to it in this video because I spent a couple $100s on a new clock spring, and I spent probably 4 or 5 hours trying to self-diagnose this. But if I would have stopped from the first instance when the horn just didn't work and went and looked at a workshop manual, I would have had this figured out in like 2 minutes, which is what ended up ultimately happening. If you follow the channel, you might have heard me reference EMO or eManual Online. This is the website I get pretty much all my shop manuals for when it comes to rebuilding cars. Now, I've worked with eManual in the past on a few of these videos, and I contacted them before releasing this video, and they have provided a coupon code if you use my link in the description box below. So basically, these shop manuals are the same exact shop manuals that the techs would use at, in this case, the Chevrolet dealership, or in the case of my RS7, the Audi dealership. These have step-by-step instructions on pretty much every single maintenance item or operation a service tech at a dealership would need to work on your car. Anything from removing the engine, repairing the engine, to a simple oil change. But in this case, what we need is what you see right here, a wiring diagram, but for our horn. So in this case, I spent the 25 bucks, went through PayPal, and I got the entire service manual for a C6 Corvette. Now, some of these shop manuals are in PDF format. Some of them are in like a virtual machine format, and they provide the virtual machine for you. And that's basically like the same exact software that the dealership would be using. But in this case, this is a PDF format manual. And right here, I have the wiring diagram up. So I just type in the word horn, and right here, it gives you the entire wiring diagram for the horn. Now, this might look confusing to you, but it's actually really simple if you just kind of look through everything. And I'm not going to explain how everything here works, but the main thing we need to look at is this part right here. If we zoom in, it's showing our two horns, our high side and our low side, and it's telling us that the assembly is in the lower right side of the vehicle. We know that. But what it's really showing us is that the power wire that connects to the horn relay is a dark green color. And of course, in my video, you saw that the power cable I was using was a red color, which led me to know really quick that I was using the wrong power cable to connect my horn. Now, even though it was suspect that I didn't have this wired up correctly in the first place, I now know exactly what I'm looking for. This dark green cable. It's just a matter of where it is. This might be tough to see, but according to that shop manual, we are on the hunt for that green wire, and that green wire lives somewhere in this loom. So I actually made an incision in the loom and looked through all of these different wires for a green or a dark green wire, and I simply did not find them. I then started to question the shop manual. Maybe the wiring color changed from year to year. Maybe that green is now red, and again, we still got a problem with our red. But then I noticed, and now this is not what this looked like at first, because if it was, you might think I'm a total idiot. But there was just two copper specks sticking out of the loom a little bit higher up than where I made the incision. So I cut another incision right here, and look at this. Here is our green wire and our black ground. This was completely ripped out of place. It was sitting flush again with the loom. All you could see were these two little pieces of copper just sticking out, just barely. And so my problem was complete user error. Even though these were the obvious cables, these go to an unused accessory of some sort that might just not be in this car. So what I'm going to do right now is actually pull this back a little bit more, extend these wires out by soldering wires to the ends of them. We'll hook it up to our horn, and we'll find out if that actually solves our problem, which I'm sure it will. All right, so I finished up repairing that wiring harness. I've got things temporarily connected in case they don't work right. Let's come over here and let's see what happens. First test. Ooh, that's a good sign. We've got things connected, but no blaring horn. And let's go and do this. There it is. We fixed our problem that easy. So I was working through this horn issue and kind of figured out the solution. I wanted to stop. I wanted to share this experience with you guys so you kind of see the reality of these rebuild projects. Not everything is cut and dry, especially with cars that are in accidents. However, a lot of times the problems are very simple to solve, and it's something that you guys can do at home with resources that are provided for pretty much anyone out there today. Things like workshop manuals, things like diagnostic scanners will literally cut the time and the cost of stuff like unnecessary repairs like the clock spring repair that I did. These are things that we pretty much all have access to. The prices have come down on them so much with modern technology, and I just hope that you watching this video encourages you to go out and work on your own car if you don't already, or maybe take on a rebuild project, because you can have a very fun time if you enjoy problem solving, even when it gets slightly frustrating. So guys, if you feel like you did learn something on this video, be sure to give it a like. If there's one of these major resources out there that maybe I didn't mention that helps you work on your cars at home, definitely let me know what that is in the comment section below. A full Corvette, a full finished Corvette unveiling will be coming out very, very shortly, hopefully in the next few days. But until then, I hope you stay tuned and I will catch you very soon.